Once upon a time, long ago, there was an old farmer who had spent his entire life working in agriculture and gardening. Little by little, he had bought a large orchard outside the city, filled with many fruit trees. The fruits grown in his orchard, like Save pomegranates, Shahryar grapes, Torbat apples, Mashhad peaches, Shahsavar oranges, were all famous among the nearby townspeople. But this old farmer had no one. He had lost his parents in childhood and traveled to faraway lands when young, seeking work. He had no relatives where he lived, and because he was poor in his youth, while people usually befriend the wealthy, no one had befriended him. Later, when he finally became prosperous and owned such a fine orchard, he no longer cared for others' attempts at friendship. Thus, he lived completely alone. One day, worn out by loneliness and silence, he felt frightened by his solitude and said to himself, "Let me go out for a walk. Perhaps I might find someone of my kind and feel relieved." He left the orchard, and as he enjoyed walking in the mountains, he slowly headed toward a nearby hillside. Coincidentally, in those mountains lived an old, shaggy bear who was also tired of loneliness. Since no other animals lived nearby, he often came down to the open fields, hoping to meet a creature to talk to. The old farmer and the old bear met halfway. Both were a little surprised to see each other, but they found something familiar in each other's gaze: loneliness. When the farmer saw the bear walking slowly and looking sad, he said, "Poor creature, why do you wander all alone?" The bear replied, "That is my trouble. I am alone. The young ones play, the strong ones work, but we old ones are left behind, and no one walks with us. I was so depressed I came out to wander in the open plain, hoping my heart would lighten." The gardener said, I understand you well. I too feel lonely in my orchard. That is the way of the world. No matter how independent one is, one cannot be truly happy alone. Everyone needs someone who shares their language and way of thinking." The bear was pleased by the farmer's words and replied, "So we are both alike. We are both lonely, both old, and both burdened by solitude. It's best if we become friends and visit each other, talking from time to time." The old farmer said, "I agree. I accept your friendship. And since I have a large orchard full of fruit, we can go there and stay together." They made a pact of friendship and went to the orchard. The bear, finding food, comfort, and a kind companion, became so delighted that he was willing to sacrifice his life for the farmer. He helped in every task he could, and whenever they had no work, they shared stories of their lives and enjoyed each other's company. Every afternoon, the gardener napped under a tree, and the bear, who loved him dearly, took a branch in his paw to fan away the flies from the old man's face. Days passed like this. The faithful bear took care of his friend with love and devotion. One day, while the farmer was asleep and the faithful bear was busy swatting flies, more and more flies started gathering. A few stubborn ones kept landing near the farmer's lips. The old man shifted in his sleep and shook his head several times, but the flies returned again and again. Little by little, the bear grew very angry at the flies for disturbing his dear friend. No matter how much he waved the branch, they were not frightened. At last, the bear thought, "What rude, stubborn flies! I will teach you a lesson so you will never bother my dear master again." He picked up a huge rock, 10 man, a heavy weight, lifted it high, aimed at the flies sitting on the old man's face, and slammed the stone down with force. Of course, the flies flew away, but the old farmer's head was crushed, and he died there, losing his life from the friendship of a foolish bear. The bear truly meant to help him, but because he was ignorant, his attempt to do good destroyed his friend. The bear went toward his friend. He called him, he shook him, but it was no use. The bear lifted his head to the sky and let out a sad howl. But what use was it now? This is why the well-known proverb says, "Such and such a friendship is like the friendship of a bear," meaning the friendship of an ignorant friend can be more harmful than the enmity of the wise. An ignorant friend with good intentions strikes the hardest blows. And the bear returned to the mountains. This time, he carried his loneliness with him, loneliness accompanied by regret. And the stone remained there, motionless, silent, a testament to a friendship that ended in tragedy. The garden was still full of fruits whose names were on everyone's lips, but there was no one to eat them, no one to enjoy them. A few days later, when people came to buy fruit, they found the old man. The news spread in the city, and everyone regretted it. And that's how the proverb, "friendship of a bear," became common among the people. Wherever an ignorant friend intended to help, they would remember this story. Every day the bear looked at the garden, at the friendship he had and lost, at the intention that was good but whose ignorance turned it into tragedy. He remained alone for the rest of his life. The friendship he had found with love, he lost through ignorance. And this was the greatest lesson life taught him. But the happy memories always remained with him. Memories of days when friendship had given him the gift of not being alone. And the stone, that large stone, remained there to remind us of this bitter truth, that sometimes the friendship of an ignorant person is more dangerous than 1,000 wise enemies. and life continued, with all its bitterness and sweetness, with all its friendships and enmities, and with this truth, that sometimes ignorance in the guise of friendship is more deadly than the wisest enmity. There were days when the bear tasted different fruits for the first time: Sharifabad watermelons, Isfahan melons, Shahrir grapes. Everything was new and amazing to him. At night, when moonlight shone on the garden, they would sit by the fire, and the farmer would tell the bear about distant lands, about cities he had seen, about people he had met. Gradually, the bear became friends with all the creatures in the garden. Birds would sit on his shoulders and sing for him. He was no longer that lonely bear, and the bear left. But he never forgot that sometimes love without wisdom can turn into tragedy. Ignorance in the guise of friendship is the deadliest enmity of all.